All right, everybody, welcome back. We've got more to say on DJ James, and you're probably familiar with my rhythm by now. After we get through the numbers, we want to talk about the traits. We want to talk about the skills. What do these guys do that makes them good? What do these guys do that make them not as good as they could be? What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? DJ James has both of those. So let's start with the pros, the positives, the things to like about DJ James. Um, very reactive. I think that's the thing that really stands out about DJ James when you watch him. His click and close is really good. He can play back, he can hang back, he can give a lot of cushion, and he reacts very quickly if the route breaks underneath in front of him and the ball comes out. He's very quick to rally up and get to where the throw is going. And he makes a lot of plays on the ball and a lot of plays at the catch point because he has that reactive athleticism and that ability to just go as soon as he realizes where the play is going. And he's also got reactive athleticism to hang with a receiver in man coverage. So right off the bat, this is kind of what I was talking about with Nehemiah Pritchett. Pritchett was a guy who I thought would play in any defensive scheme. He could do press man, he could do off man, he could do zone. um, I don't think DJ James can do press man because he's got short arms and he's small and not very strong. But he can do man and he can do zone. You put him in either situation, I think he'll be all right. So he has the reactive athleticism to run a route with a receiver and stay in phase with him. So that's pretty good. That's that versatility has real value here. Understands how to give a lot of cushion and still get back to make the play. That's going to help him when he's playing off man. That's going to help him when he's playing zone. So he triggers very quickly is kind of the thing I'm trying to get to here. I think he's got a very quick trigger, and that is the main thing that makes him viable as a potential NFL player. I also want to say that his 40 time slash 10-yard dash at the combine was good, which you read some of the things that people were saying about him before the combine. One of the concerns people had was his speed. They felt like he was kind of slow. So the fact that he ran that well does indicate there's some opportunity for him to improve in that area. And you know how they say you can't teach speed? Well, he has speed. It just seems like sometimes it didn't show up the way that it needed to on the football field. So I think that is encouraging to me. I look at a 40 time like that and I think this guy has a chance. This guy has an opportunity to get better in that area. It's reasonable that he would be able to make strides here and become an even better player once he gets to the NFL over the next couple of years here. And that's always better than not having it. Should be able to perform well in any defensive scheme, zone, or man, like I just said. Looks very comfortable moving around the field with great footwork. He's a very natural mover. It's one of those things they call it body control, they call it balance. It's just the ability to not just move in a straight line and not get out of sorts. He looks very comfortable reacting to what he sees and acting based on what his read is. And he's really good moving. He's got a really nice back pedal, looks very smooth and fluid in his back pedal. So the movement skills are there. He's got the short area quickness and twitch you need to hold up in the slot when you're hanging with those really quick receivers. So that's going to be important here because DJ James, I already kind of said it, his odds of being able to play on the outside are not overly high. They are, I think, he's got a lot working against him. Odds are good he's going to have to move to the slot in the NFL. And on a basic level, in terms of skills, he should be able to do it. He's got the short area quickness you need to excel in the slot. Showed significant improvement in his ball skills after switching to Auburn. Unlike Pritchett, whose ball skills were inconsistent from year to year and just seemed kind of random almost, DJ James was not a great attacker of the ball at Oregon, and then he goes to Auburn and he becomes pretty viable. Like I said, 18 passes defensed in 2 years. I think it was 24 games. That's pretty decent. So he's advancing in that area. And I think that growth is encouraging. He's a willing and aggressive tackler who gives effort and run support, although That statement comes with a caveat that we're going to get back to in a little bit here, but I do think it is fair to say that he's at least trying out there. Looks very natural and comfortable in his back pedal. He moves smoothly. He's a smooth mover out there. He's very fluid with the way that he's able to go from backpedaling one way to backpedaling the other way. He's able to stay with the receiver in his back pedal until he needs to actually turn around. So a lot of good things there. His transitions are good when he's in coverage. He reacts well to what the receiver does. So he's able to stay in phase with the receiver even when he's making his break, even when he's trying to throw something a little more exotic. Even if the receiver is a really good route runner, he hangs with him. And he seems to be a very smart player as well. He's got a high football IQ. He's got a deep understanding of how to read routes. And as long as he keeps his focus, it seems like he's able to process information, take that information, and understand what he needs to do. All right, now we're going to get to the cons here with DJ James, and we have some of those as well. And you probably already guessed the first one. He's very small. So at 175, the good news is he's got decent height. He's like 5'11" and 5/8. So that means he can add weight if he needs to. And at 175, I suspect he will. But even if he adds some weight, he'll never be a bigger cornerback. And even if he does, that means he loses his speed. That means he loses some of his quickness and athleticism. So you don't want him to do that too much. Maybe you want him to get up to like 180 or 185, but even then you're like, okay, now what's your 40 time? And it makes you wonder, maybe he slimmed up a little bit to make sure he put in that good 40 time at the combine, but having him play at that weight is asking a lot. So first of all, he's probably not going to be able to handle the bigger wide receivers in the NFL, which is why I think it's pretty important to keep him in the slot. He's probably not going to be a very good tackler, even though he gives effort. And I do want to stress that here. He gives effort. He gives more effort than Pritchett, in my estimation. But how is he going to be able to tackle effectively in the NFL if he's 175 or even 180? That's tough. Like, it can be done, but it's rare. It's very rare you find a guy this small who can tackle. And when you combine his small size with his short arms, probably not going to be able to play outside. And that would be okay. I mean, we certainly have enough outside corners, but it's worth noting he has very few reps in the slot. Very few. So you're asking him to play in the slot in the NFL in all likelihood. And while theoretically it should work, we do need to, we need to be fair here, and we need to acknowledge that he doesn't have a lot of experience doing it. So we can't guarantee anything here. So that to me is the big concern. Earlier I said how aggressive his click and close is, which is great, but at the same time, he's so aggressive in trusting what he sees that fakes and double moves and misdirection can kind of eat him up. Like, he's so trusting of what he sees that sometimes he just goes, and the receivers that are deceptive, the offensive schemes that are deceptive, will just get right past him because he bit. Some of his ball skills are negated by being smaller and not having very much length. Because he is a smaller guy, he's not able to get his hand to the ball, whereas other players would have been able to. Think of a guy like a Richard Sherman, who's very long and tall, or a Reek Woolen. They're able to get to all kinds of balls that normal people could not because they're so long. This guy, the opposite. So sometimes he's going to be just like an inch away from making a play on the ball, and it's going to be frustrating, but that's part of the package when you're this undersized. Trusts his instincts to the point where a deceptive receiver can fool him. That's kind of what I said with the click and close thing, but he really does trust what he sees, and most of the time he's correct, but there is a little bit of, I'm going to bite on the fake, and then I'm going to end up looking a little bit foolish when the receiver just blows right past me because I guessed wrong. My instincts were incorrect. Not going to make much of an impact in run defense at his size, by which I mean things like getting off stock blocks, being able to get off blockers and navigate through traffic for a tackle. Probably just not going to happen. He's too small. I don't think it's very reasonable to say that he should be able to do that kind of stuff in the NFL. Like in college, it worked okay. He didn't have that many missed tackles. Wasn't a terrible run defender, but in the NFL, I do expect there to be some problems. Final con that I listed sometimes gets caught with his eyes in the backfield and gets distracted. He just quarterback watches sometimes. He's trying to spy the quarterback's eyes, trying to see where he's looking, and he loses track of reading the route combinations in front of him, and he ends up in bad situations because of it. So that's what I got from DJ James. It's a pretty decent list of pros and cons. So we got one more video to go through with him. It's going to be some tape study on him. And I already have a little bit of familiarity here because I saw him a good amount on the Pritchett tape because they were teammates. But more on that later. Thank you for watching. I will talk to you guys in a couple of hours. We will say more things about DJ James, but that's a pretty good summary of what he brings to the table, the good and the bad. What is he putting on the table? What is he taking off the table? I think we've got it pretty good. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks, and let me know what you think.